Alright, here's my 2004 Ford F-150 that I have for sale on Kijiji. I figured I may as well do a walk around of it just to spare you from having to ask some of the questions. Sorry if there's any wind noise, it's relatively windy today. But anyway, we'll get right into it here. First thing I'm going to get out of the way right now is the cam phasers. If you want to know all about them, ask me about them. Obviously, do your research, although make sure you know where you're getting your research from, because there's a lot of research out there saying that they just explode, and that's absolutely not true. So do your research. There's a couple really good YouTube channels out there that do a very good job of explaining exactly why these phasers go bad. But if you're a car guy, I'll sum it up real quick. The oil pumps in these engines, they're not adequate. They're not sufficient in supplying enough oil pressure volume to all those crazy timing components that Ford was experimenting with in the early 2000s. So when they added those cam phasers in, VCT solenoids, all those intricate little components, the oil pump wasn't supplying enough pressure or volume to those components to keep them properly lubricated. So some of the metal would wear in certain spots. Like with the cam phasers, there's something called a locking pin inside of them that just starts to clack around because it runs into a bit of a clearance issue in there. But that little knock that you hear is not detrimental to engine operation. The part, you know, when they're like, okay, I've never seen a Ford cam phaser fail. Sorry, I've never seen one come apart. I've seen them fail, but I've never seen them come apart. Aftermarket ones like Dorman and Freedom Racing, those ones will fall apart right out of the box and destroy the engine. The previous owner said that these phasers were replaced just before he owned it, and he said that he's pretty sure they're Ford phasers, which is good. You want the Ford phasers. Now, if you're wondering, I've had lots of questions about it, wondering why there's no license plate on it. I took the registration and insurance off of this thing because I can't afford to keep it registered and insured anymore. So it's on a different vehicle now. But yeah, so that's why there's no plate on it. It's not being driven at the moment. There's a crow. I start it up usually every day, multiple times a week, just to kind of keep it running, and I do drive it up and down the driveway just to kind of keep everything in check. Here's probably the most unsightly part. This is just surface rust. Like if you take the key, for example, and try to push, there's no rot there. It's just surface rust. So if you really were anal about that, you could just sand that down and spray some paint on it. They sell this color even at Canadian Tire, so it's easy to get just little paint color match spray cans for this. The tires, they're okay. They should probably get you through another winter with these things being or with this thing being, you know, 5,000 pounds and four-wheel drive. Yeah, and the rims, they're in pretty good shape. I mean, the center caps are starting to peel, but that's it. As you can see right there, I think I failed to mention this in the description, but the previous owner, this has been an issue with Ford leaf springs on their trucks for generations of those trucks. The leaf springs just come apart, not necessarily from particular exertion of the suspension, but just they just seem to split. So the previous owner drilled a pipe clamp on there just to hold them in place. But yeah, I mean, nothing, like I said, nothing major. This code here works to lock the doors and to unlock them. I'll give you the code if you decide to buy it and whatever else. The worst of the damage is probably right here where this mirror's cracked, which isn't the end of the world. I mean, you can probably even just get a cover for it. Even at the junkyard, they probably have one, a mirror, just to, like, you don't even need the whole mirror. Yeah, I mean, and this bumper, I've had questions about that too. The reason that kind of doesn't mount up correctly is because the old bumper was all, well, see, it's kind of bent and warped right there because what happened is the previous owner bumped into a parking pole, one of those yellow poles, and just crunched the bumper in, so the paint started to peel and started to rust all over the whole thing, as did all of the F-150s really. But this one was accelerated because of the crunch there. But so I just went and I bought a used bumper, and it looks so much better than what was on there. This fog light's a little misaligned just because it's missing a bolt, but honestly, that's no big deal. The only blemish on this bumper is right there, and that's not going to really spread. And if it does, it's not going to be fast at all. Probably 10 years before it's even noticeable. This here paint chipping is from when it was pressure washed. This won't rust because this hood is aluminum. There was a shroud on it, and I took it off because it cracked. If you come see the truck and it's on there, it's probably because I epoxied it back together there. I do like the look of with the shroud on much better. But you know, I mean, that's some paint damage there, and you know, I mean, it is what it is. This isn't a perfect truck, and I'm not pitching it like one. It doesn't really need some work, but it's not perfect. I mean, the body's not perfect. If you come to see, and there's a little clear coat issue. I mean, it is a 17-year-old truck or something like that. It's an 04. But on the inside, it's in really good shape. There's no odors or anything like that. It smells actually pretty good, and the seats are in pretty good shape here too. This is unfortunate. That's just because of it was a metal, straight edge sitting right here, and it slit the seat and also made this mark here. So that's the worst of the damage to the leather here. And as you can see, I mean, it's all in pretty good shape. It's firm, it's not rippling and whatever. And same with the driver's seat, pretty good shape too. There's no tears or anything. It does come with its original owner's manual, which is really nice. That's something I always like. Unfortunately, with this generation, there's no aux port in the dash there. So what you can do is, I actually did it before. This aftermarket radio comes with an auxiliary input on the back, so you can just push this tray in and pull this trim piece up kind of just like that, and it comes off, and you can put your own auxiliary cord in there and listen to your own music. But you know, I mean, it's a touchscreen radio, which is nice, and it has AV ports, so you can watch movies on it. Back seat, yes, this isn't the full Super Crew, this is the Super Cab, which means that it has the short rear doors. But to me, the trade-off was the 6.5-foot bed for less rear seat room. But the leather back here was never really even used. I mean, no one really ever sat back there, but the looks of it. But yeah, so the interior's in pretty good shape. I mean, there's no complaints from me there. But you know what? We'll go ahead and fire it up here. It needs a new battery, which is pretty important. If you go to the Pick and Pull in Calgary, they have in their lobby quite a few batteries there for sale, and they only charge you, they don't charge you very much for the core, so bring that one back, and I mean, you've got like a $30 battery that's pretty much new. So we'll go ahead and fire it up there. Doesn't take much. That ticking you hear is from the exhaust manifold. That happens with all of these Fords and with all of these Tritons. If you know anything about the Triton, you know that the exhaust manifolds have had quite a few issues like that. 260,563 kilometers. That flashing's from the camera, not actually on the gauge cluster. And as you can see, it's cold. Haven't had it running, so that was a cold start you just heard. Needs some gas, but that's about it. There's no check engine light on, nothing like that. Everything works in the gauge cluster. Everything works. The wipers work very well. Headlights, I mean, it's got automatic headlights, which is really nice for 04 even. Everything works on here too. You've got heat, you've got AC. The AC works, but it's pretty weak, so it could probably use a recharge for the summer. Like, you can hear the compressor kick on. It feels cool, but it could probably use a recharge. For the winter, these heated seats are just glorious on a freezing day. They're just magnificent, and they work well. And I mean, you've got everything here works. The one thing that doesn't work is if you put it in reverse, this off light comes on here, and that's because the parking, this is for the parking sensor on and off, and unfortunately there's a one of the sensors is bad, which just shuts off the whole system. So you could go get a $13 sensor at Part Source, put it in yourself with a flathead screwdriver, and then you've got working parking sensors. This here, never been used. As you can see, there's no there's nothing, no odors in this interior. Definitely, I don't think it's been smoked in at all. Actually, not even a guest. The 2 high works, obviously. 4 high works. 4 low works. But when it's really cold, like when it hit -40. At 4 lows, what happens is when it's freezing, it doesn't happen usually, but when it's freezing, it says in the gauge cluster, engine failsafe mode when you put it in 4 low. I haven't dug super deep into that. I know it's not a serious thing. It happens. Engine failsafe mode doesn't mean that the engine is going to explode. But this, I believe, if I had to guess, there's a transfer case motor on the back of the transfer case that goes bad in these sometimes, and I mean it's really only what 3 or 4 8mm bolts, and less than $100 to do that part, and that's yourself. You could do that yourself for less than $100. But I mean, everything works. This does have a little bit of a hot idle noise with the cam phaser. Like I said, not detrimental to engine operation. If you're just in the market for a cheap truck that's reliable, that'll get you where you need to go and haul stuff for you, that's this. I mean, this is this, and it's nice too. I mean, the interior's nice, and I bought it because I needed to haul stuff. You know, there's actually stuff in the bed right now, just a box of some car parts and a shovel. But I mean, and I was gonna put stuff in it and, you know, daily drive the thing, and I did for a while, but then my friend is gonna sell me his 2014 F-150, so I figured I may as well get my money back out of this. That's why I'm selling it. One thing is, it needs a windshield. That's 150 to 180 bucks. These are run-of-the-mill windshields. These are all over the place, so it's very simple to get that replaced. I have a guy who I'll give you his business card if you want. He'll do it for probably I'd say 170, and it would be replaced, which is nice. It's got, of course, a home link and everything like that. I won't go, you know, through the features too much because it's an 04 and there's not a whole lot to talk about, but it runs very well. The one thing that doesn't work on the outside here is, you can see it's a 60 degrees Celsius. That's not true, obviously, but there's an exterior temperature sensor in the front of the engine, which actually I should show you right now. I'll show you the engine, but there's a little sensor that just doesn't quite read it correctly. I'll show you here. So here's the engine, very clean, actually. So I did clean it. I did not pressure wash it. Never pressure wash an engine. Never do that. I didn't pressure wash it. I did clean it. It was you know, pretty dusty. I have some before pictures of it, but nothing like, there's no leaks. These Fords are very good for not leaking, especially out of their valve covers. But yeah, I mean, everything in this truck is really great. You can see it does run very well. You have no issues there. This battery does need to be replaced. Like it does. It's old now. I think it's 5 years old, so it needs to be replaced. And if it sits for like 2-3 days, it's dead, and it needs a boost. So that's what that is for sure. But yeah, I mean, everything works. This is the sensor right here, by the way. You can just replace that. Even get one. Like, that's a really easy part to get. It's got your tow hooks and everything there, so everything works. The fog lights don't work, and that's because the wires are cut. On the old bumper, there was some auxiliary fog lights, and unfortunately the previous owner cut those wires to the fog lights and wired his own up for some reason. They were much better, but I'll see if I can get those fixed before you come see it. So the fog lights don't work. I mean, but really, I mean, this truck is cheap enough to the point where you don't care. I mean, it's this truck was cared for. I care for it. I'm not rough on my vehicles. I love my vehicles. I care for them. But if you need a truck, and I hate to say it, but if you need a truck that is kind of a beater truck, which I don't beat my vehicles. I don't drive vehicles like a beater. But if you need one like for winter driving or for hauling stuff, then this is it. But yeah. If you enjoyed this walk around, I mean, I try to do these just to kind of save you from asking those questions. But if you do have any questions, call me up at 403-585-5515. That's my cell number. You can reach me there anytime. And I respond quickest to calls and texts, but Kijiji messaging is fine, but I might not get back to you as quickly as possible. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and yeah, don't hesitate to call.